Welcome back everyone. So I've been seeing a lot of common mistakes that people usually make on their Nintendo Switch or their Nintendo Switch Lite, and I want to talk about these things and how to avoid these things overall. Now, the very first thing I want to hit on that I've been seeing a lot of people do, and it doesn't even have anything to do with people who currently own the Nintendo Switch, but people who are planning to buy another one of the Nintendo Switch or Switch Lite, and that is paying way more for a Nintendo Switch than you have to. So obviously we've seen, a lot of Nintendo Switches being out of stock and not being sold anymore. And that is a pretty big problem, but Nintendo has been addressing this specific issue, and they have been saying that they're actually going to start ramping up production in order for, more people to get their hands on the Nintendo Switch. And that is a very important thing that you have to keep in mind. If you're going to pay way overpriced, like $300, $400, $500 for a Nintendo Switch or a Switch Lite, that is going to be such a waste of money. You're better off waiting until you can get one brand new for $199 for the Switch Lite or $299 for the Nintendo Switch, the standard one. You're better off doing something like that, and the main reason for that is because it'll save you a bunch of money and you can get one brand new with a warranty, most likely from Nintendo, rather than having to buy it from somebody else. Now, if you're really in the need and you really want one, then by all means go for it. But that's the very first thing I would recommend, is to not pay way more money for a Nintendo Switch than you have to. Now, the next thing I want to hit on is the weather conditions that your Nintendo Switch is in and how it can have a huge effect on certain aspects of your Nintendo Switch. So if you're always putting your Nintendo Switch or Switch Lite in super hot conditions or super cold conditions, this can actually affect the battery health of your Nintendo Switch. Now, it's the same process for Android phones, iPhones, laptops, really anything else. If your Nintendo Switch is always in the heat, or you're always putting it in your book bag in super hot conditions, this will make it so your Nintendo Switch's battery life may not actually be as good as you may expect it to be. And over time, if you do this over and over again, if you do it one time, it doesn't matter. But if you do it, every single day or most of the time, then your battery health will actually go down, and you will start seeing that your Nintendo Switch's battery may not actually be as good as it used to be. And it's going to go down regardless, but if you do something like that, it's going to speed up the time that the battery health will actually go down even faster. So avoiding super hot conditions or super cold conditions on your Nintendo Switch will do you super good. And that's the very second thing I would hit on. Now, the third thing I want to hit on is using third-party joysticks for your Nintendo Switch or the Switch Lite, but it's mostly for the Nintendo Switch. I've seen a lot of different things, and a lot of people talk about how they got third-party controllers from Wish or something like that, or even eBay, and use them on their Nintendo Switch. Now, the biggest problem with this are the controllers that plug into the actual Switch itself, and I've seen a couple of these, and the problem with that is that they actually go, first of all, they usually don't charge from the Switch. That's like a proprietary thing that only the actual controllers do, so that's another big thing to keep in mind. But also, if you're plugging them in and sliding them into where the standard joysticks go, this can actually affect the coils that actually go and charge up the standard and original joysticks. A lot of the third-party joysticks, you actually have to go and charge them separately with like a micro USB cord or something. And because the original joysticks charge from the Switch itself, you actually have to go and charge up that controller with those third-party joysticks. That actually sometimes messes up the coils on the side that charge those original controllers. So that's another really big thing right there. Trying to avoid those would probably be the best way to go. Again, if you're getting the Bluetooth ones that you don't have to slide in, then those are fine. But if you do have to go and use these third-party joysticks, you're better off using the ones that don't necessarily slide to the sides, because that can really affect your Nintendo Switch whether you realize it or not. Now, the next thing that I've seen a lot of people do, I haven't necessarily used it, but using third-party docks for your Nintendo Switch. Now, this is a pretty big issue. It can be because some docks aren't necessarily supported for the Nintendo Switch. So that is another big thing to keep in mind. It's totally up to you, but that is another thing that I've seen. I am pretty sure you can still display your Nintendo Switch, your standard one, just by plugging it straight into a monitor. I could be wrong about that, but that is something that I've seen. But that is another thing to keep in mind, is that you will probably have to use a original dock and not a third-party one if you want to maintain the health of your Nintendo Switch overall. And the last thing I want to hit on is, whenever your joystick starts, to go bad, if it starts drifting, I've had a couple controller joysticks do that. I wouldn't necessarily just throw that Joy-Con away or just never use it, or even just go buy another one right then. If you use isopropyl alcohol, which is basically like rubbing alcohol, you can put it around the joystick and actually may be able to fix that specific problem. I've seen a lot of people be able to fix the problem that way, which is another huge thing to do. Again, it may fix it, it may not fix it, but that is one thing that I've talked about a lot of people have had great success with it. So just using isopropyl alcohol will probably end up doing you better in the long run. So those are just a couple things that I would recommend people to never do on your Nintendo Switch and some ways to fix it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.